If the words backpack, ticket, and camera spin up your senses, if the call of the unknown beyond the next road, the next hill, the next cloud pulls you ever onward, if you seek that moment that quickens the heart, or stills the mind, or leaves imprints that last a lifetime, then you, like many before you, have found adventure.
Oh, there's nothing like a wee bit of philosophizing in the morning to get your brain cooking. As long as we don't dissolve into platitudes, that is. Anyway, welcome back to Pixorama, where today the theme is adventure. Yes, actually, I have a trip to Japan planned from... There goes me light. I got it. Let's try not to do that again. I actually have a trip to Japan planned for later on this year, so adventure has been on my mind. And having said that, I thought today we would try our hand at creating an adventure-y little sprite. So come along and let's see what we can whip up.
Oh, it's so nice to come home to a sprite,
said my grandmother once, and she really had a feel for picking out good quality pixel programs. In any case, let's not twiddle about. Head up and create a new document with 80 by 80 pixels as the dimensions, and what we're going to do straight away is replace this default palette with a special little palette of my own. You can find this in the description of this video. I've called it the Cute Fox palette, and what you'll see when you load it up is that we now have a palette of 12 colors. You can go and sort these however you want, but actually I'm going to sort them by hand because I find that the sorting methods in a sprite leave much to be desired. And once we've sorted our colors out, it's time to create a new layer. So hit Shift-N, and I'm just going to call this Fox 1. Now, as usual, you can work to a reference image, or you can work just from your mind itself. I have a little reference image on the side here, which I'm going to use for this character, which I do recommend because it makes things a bit easier, but, you know, you don't always need it. And you can see that I've started with the nose and the mouth, and then drawn in these big blobby eyes. I often find it helpful to draw the facial features first, and then I can judge the sizing of the rest of the elements based on that. And do remember that to make characters cute, you typically make the head bigger and the body smaller.
This council of big heads is over. What? Oh no. Watch your balance. Oh no. No. Oh no. Oh no.
Well, I did say typically. Anyway, let's move on to the next part of this character, which is the hat. He's wearing an adventure-y floppy hat reminiscent of Huckleberry Finn, that kind of character, because I think that captures the sense of adventure we're going for. But of course he needs holes in his hat so his big floppy ears can stick through, so we're going to make sure that you can see his ears. And now we're going to start on the body, which of course is going to be small and plump and cute. I'm doing a rough outline to begin with and just placing elements where I think they should go, his arm for example, and you'll see that I'm modifying the shape as we go quite a bit, just selecting it, shifting it around, redrawing some of those edges, just trying to get the main lines in place before we move on to any more serious steps like colouring. The backpack is the next thing we're going to draw in, just your standard hiking kit with a little sleeping roll on the top. I think his body's looking a little too stumpy, so I'm going to make him just 1 pixel taller and add a ribbon to the hat and some backpack straps for him to hold onto. And of course, one major element that's still missing is the tail. So let's give him a big fluffy tail that sticks out the back. It's actually strange how complex this shape looks, but how simple it really is. It's really just 3 lines. 1 big curve on the bottom, 1 big curve on the top, and a little connecting line on the end. Ignore those 2 strap kind of lines I've put along the center. We don't really need them. And now, just some last-second cleanup, getting everything in order before we start colouring. I've brought the hat down just a little bit, and that'll about do it. Now the colouring itself. Hooray! So we've already got our palette loaded up, and now it's just a matter of figuring out which colours we want to go where. And as you can see, I'm sort of starting with 1 colour at a time, just blocking out the places I think those colours fit best. And my own workflow in these situations tends to start with the mid color. I don't start with the shadowing or the highlights. I start with the color that's going to be dominant throughout the figure. In this case, it's that nice sunny orange color right in the middle of the palette. It's really up to you, but starting with the mid-tone, I feel, makes it much easier to decide where the highlights and shadows should go afterwards. And of course, that decision will be influenced by where your light source is. In this case, it's coming from pretty much directly above, perhaps slightly towards the camera facing down on the character, but mostly coming from above. So all the shadows are going to be on the downward facing surfaces, of course. Let's move on to the hat, and I've chosen this nice kind of navy camo green for this guy. And you'll notice that I actually betrayed my own rule there and started with the darkest shade, just because I knew that the underside of the hat was all in shadow, so the darkest shade seemed appropriate. I gave the rim that nice light shade to just make it pop a little bit, and things are starting to take shape. A few more shadow details here. Let's add some to the legs and the bottom of the body here, just to give it a little bit of dimension. It looks like his tummy's now sort of pooching out a little bit, and his feet or paws need just a slight hint of highlight there to show that, we don't want them to look like little stubs. So just, again, a hint of a highlight there just to show that he has feet. And from here on out, it's more of the same, really. Yes, but as an aside, drop a comment below if you'd like me to do a little episode about animating characters like this, or this character specifically, because sprites like these tend to lend themselves really well to little platformer games and so on, and it would be my pleasure to do another episode about animating him. After all, it's no good him just standing around. He needs to be prepared for adventure. Speaking of which, if you like adventure, magic, mischief, and a little mayhem, well then, boy do I have something for you. Because, as it turns out, yours truly is actually also a fantasy author, and my new book, This Emerald Crucible, has just hit the shelves. So if you're after a bit of tropical mystery, a little murder, and a lot of magic, maybe pick up a copy. More infos can be found on my website, jimzip.com, as well as my other books, The Charles City Mysterion, which came out a few years ago. And I also have a bunch of short stories there, all in audiobook format, and all for free. So enjoy that. Yes, where were we? Oh yes, now it's time to talk about outlining. And before we begin finessing the outlines of this little character, it might be worth going over the various methods available to you as a pixel artist. Now, we won't linger on this too long, because books could be written, let me tell you. But basically, you have a few different styles here. First up, we have Old Faithful, the pixel artist's bread and butter, which is basically just a simple single pixel outline in black or dark blue or whatever tickles your fancy, which many people start with because it's easiest and it makes sense. Coming up next, we have no outline at all, or at least very subtle outlines. This is called the silhouette technique, but it's not that common because it tends to make the sprite a little less readable. Use with caution. Next is the sellout technique, that's S-E-L out, which stands for selective outlining and is one of my favorite techniques. Basically, your outline here just consists of colors from your sprite, and as you can see, it makes the image look a bit softer, and I really like the effect. Throwing in a bit of a wacky one here, but you can get artistic and just use weird colors for your outlines. This method, by the way, could also be used to show that there's a colored light source in the scene. But while this example is ugly, it basically demonstrates that you can get creative and just do whatever feels right to you. Which brings us to the last method I'm going to talk about today, and that's the sticker method, which basically just consists of you putting a white border around your object and then another darker outline after that. And it tends to give you this sticker kind of look, which can be really cute in some situations. Again, this list was nowhere near exhaustive, but I hope it wets your whistle for a bit of experimentation. Right, second year's this way. Back to the outlining as previously mentioned. So I'm going to choose the sellout method for this little sprite because I think it's going to look best. This sprite already has a beautiful little color palette going, and I want to use those same colors for his outlining. So I'm just going to go around the object, and wherever I see those harsh black outlines, I'm just going to replace them with shades from the sprite itself. Now, to get the best results out of this method, you typically want to follow your light source, so you can see that I'm using lighter shades on the edges closest to the light, and vice versa. Of course, you'll notice that on the tail, this rule is not followed, because if we used a lighter color on the top of the tail, you wouldn't see it. So, use your discretion when you're doing this, and remember that you can also still use partial black outlines. You can mix methods, you can do whatever you want, as long as the sprite looks the way you want it to look in the end, it's all good. And speaking of the end, it is rapidly approaching! So just a few finishing touches here, fixing up some strange pixels, adding a little more shading, and giving him some toes, which I think was probably necessary from the beginning, as well as a little ground shadow which just helps anchor him in the world, and last of all, a little glint in his eyes. So, drum roll please, how did it turn out? Oh-ho! our little fox companion is ready for his big adventure with his floppy hat and his little backpack. Mountains, rivers, and seas best quake at his coming.
Oh, the places he'll go. Anyway, that wraps it up for this episode of Pixorama. I hope it's instilled in you a slight spirit of adventure as well. Even if it hasn't though, smash that like button or the subscribe button to see more episodes like this. And thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimzip. See ya!